This is the Bowmen Podcast. Coming at you from our archery shop in Virginia, or wherever else you may find a rutting buck, bugling elk, or mountaintop campsite. The Bowmen Podcast is being brought to you by Triple Point Outdoors, creator of the patented Clovis Mechanical Broadhead, and Romano Outdoors, Virginia's specialty archery shop. Here's your host and founder, Paul Romano Jr.
Good evening, everyone. This is the Bowmen Podcast coming at you live. We got a new gentleman joining us today, Mr. Lee Hartzler from what part of Ohio are you from?
From Northeast.
Northeast. So, yeah. Cleveland?
Yeah, an hour south of Cleveland, 30 minutes west of Akron, Canton, hour and a half northeast of Columbus, right in the middle of the country, pretty much.
Sweet. Excellent. Yeah. Well, he's a good fan of the podcast. He's good friends of from ours as well. And as you can see by his office there, he's a dentist, so don't judge us for that. So if you have any hygiene questions, please email them to triplepointoutdoors.com. Josh,
drink your monster, boys and girls. Drink it up.
He can handle all the questions about that and forward them on. But welcome. It's been a long time coming. Yeah, man. Troy Forrester's here, Greenlight Outdoors. Although he's wearing blue today.
Yep, repping the K-State shirt back from Kansas.
Back
Cedric
from Kansas.
Likes
it. Mr. Josh Miller is there, Triple Point Outdoors, the one, the only, the Bob and Moose.
Bobby's here.
The story of Bobby the Moose here in a little bit.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Cedric O'Hara, clean shaved from our last episode, no longer on the mend. He's back on the job and chasing down all you speeding motorcyclists out there. So watch where you're going because he's going to get you. All right. So we're here. It's been a little while. We've been away. We've been stuck. We've been busy. We've been sick. We've been, I don't know, a lot of the things we've been for the past couple weeks here. So we apologize for being late and getting season 1, episode 17, I think this is out there. So I don't know how many episodes will be in season 1, but at some point we'll cut off and we'll start season 2. And that's when we'll switch. All right. So Troy, I heard you couldn't really handle the 80-pound bow, huh?
No. So the other day I had an unfortunate incident in the gym, straightened my back a little bit, and then I was mending from that, and you guys were able to let me borrow that bow and give it a few shots. Man, that thing shoots sweet, but I know myself, and I know if I was sitting in a tree for 10-12 hours and I'm cold there, I would be stuck. There's no way I'd be pulling that thing back. So
well, that's why we do it, so it has to be really worth it.
Laser.
I think it would be awesome for me to have someday for, like, say, specialty hunts. Like if I was going to try and get a moose or maybe elk hunt someday or things like that, I would love to keep that on the back burner. But for my everyday, run and gun, I think I'm going to try and stick with, the 70-pounder. I may look strong in my videos, but the lighting plays a big part in that.
And the baby oil.
Oil.
Yeah.
So smooth.
There's a lot of editing involved in my videos and my pictures.
That's why I look like this, all natural, baby.
I just draw it back with my foot. I just push my foot out there, Troy. Just kick it on.
Yeah. I shot it probably. I probably shot it 12 times, and I could feel it. Maybe it's my form. Maybe it's I don't know what you want to call it, but
it's like that.
I think 70 is a good number for me. I'm 5'9", 180, 70-pound bow's right.
There you go. Well, hey, at least you gave it a try. We figured we'd get it out to you. If you ever get a chance, stand on the side of that thing when it goes off, man. It's like a rocket ship taking off when it goes by. It's like,
it's nasty.
It's pretty
cool.
There's a couple people up in Canada while we're shooting. Every time they walk by, they're like, what's that? Shoot, whack. You guys shooting over there.
Stay there.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But we'll get you all set up with a new one here, and we'll get you rocking and rolling from Prime. I'll tell you one thing, though. You know who needs a new bow is that guy down there in the dentist office. Was he shooting a Nitram from like 2004? 2005? Oh, 14, sorry.
He knows it's coming. Look at his eyes.
He knows
it's coming.
Yeah, he knew it was coming.
I'm not saying anything.
It's been taken very well care of.
It has. It's killed a few animals for me, so I can't complain. But, on a serious note, I do have doubts this year. I am at 20 and 30 yards rock solid. 40, it's dying on me. I'm hitting low 3 out of 5 shots. No idea what's going on. So
how far low?
6 to 8 inches. No
I would
idea.
tell you to do is I would follow the T-Bone Turner method of sighting in and start with your 40 pin, get that dialed in, and then work backwards. Because a lot of times I tell people in the shop, because we only have 11 yards to shoot in the range just for tuning, is I want it to hit low every time, like 5-6 inches, and then we work up an inch at a time. And everyone's like, this is stupid, it's taking forever, just move the thing the way it needs to be. I'm like, no, because if you go right there, you might be sighted in for 20 and 30, but it can either be coming down on that 20 and 30 or still going up for 20 and 30. So I like to sight it in so it's low and then bring it up at that 20, sight it in low at 30, bring it up in there. Same thing with 40 from there. But start at your 40 pin. I would erase your 20 and 30 and start at 40 and get that dialed in dead and then go backwards from it. A couple things. The arrow could be too heavy. You could need new strings, so you're losing some feet per second on there. Most likely it's just where your pins are set. That bow, that nitrum should not be dying at 40 yards.
It's the same setup I used last year to go out to Alberta and got a new string on after coming back. And right before I went. So I had it sighted in. I have 5 pin and out 20 to 60 was good. And this year started off fine, but I switched to the thumb release and been spending a lot of time at 20 and 30 and just started working my way out to 40 and 50, and 40 is just all over the place.
What strings do you put on?
Joey's.
Yeah.
He's local.
Do they have the speed knocks on them? Or is it just straight string? Does it have the speed bushings top and bottom?
It's got
near the cam? The speed bushings?
Gosh, I'd have to look. I don't even know.
Yeah, because some aftermarket strings, they don't put the speed bushings on there. So basically they're just weights or knocks that they clip onto the string and then they shrink wrap around them.
That's where the logo is?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, then they've got them. Yep.
They've got them. Okay. Yeah, it's got to be something had to happen with and you're shooting what, 70 pounds?
Now you're going to laugh at me because Josh.
Well, I've seen your videos. You're scrawny. I get it.
No.
I'm a little guy.
He's not scrawny. We're all in our own places and we're all working.
We're all growing together.
Heard Yoda, Master Yoda up there on the left. Yeah. All right. And so what spine arrow are you using?
Golly, see,
350, 340, 400.
Bet you a 340.
I was gonna say 320. I feel like I just need to go grab my stuff right now. I wasn't prepared to talk about
this. Was going to be a quiz. You brought it up, so
I'll fail miserably.
All right, so if you're shooting 60 pounds, I mean, you should be anywhere between. Personally, I would set you up at a 400 spine arrow. If you're shooting a faster bow like the new Prime or one of the newer ones, I would say a 340, 350. But you're probably that older bow. You should be in the 400 range for spine. In the low 4s for arrow weight. High 3s, low 4s, and then work your sight upwards. That's what I would do, and just start over. You're just gonna have to start over.
All right. So thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everyone comes in and I don't mean to harp on it. It's just what I do is you have your bow, right? And you're set at a certain weight. So if you want to shoot 60 pounds, then, you can't shoot a 250, a 300, a 320, a 340 spine arrow just because you like the grains per inch. It ain't going to work. You need a certain amount of flex or less flex in order to shoot that bow straight like a laser. So it needs a certain amount of force to push it to resist that force. Laser. But yeah, that's what you got to look at. So, and then really the hard part is when you're in that 62 pound to 67, 68 pound range. That's when it gets a little quirky. And I would say try different arrows and see what works with your bow the best, because this sounds really terrible. Some like it stiffer than others. So
wait,
you
gotta like a laser. Like a laser.
You gotta kind of figure out what works for her when you do that. So I will definitely mark this as not kid friendly when I post it on YouTube. But all right, good, cool. So, Mr. Cedric,
what's happening?
So I heard you got a big stud on camera.
Yep, probably the biggest deer that I'll ever chase down here close to where I live. So,
did you see the deer that was shot in Missouri near you yesterday?
Well,
I'll take that as a no.
Tomorrow, Friday.
Then it must have been northern Missouri.
Oh, lordy!
Is that a kid?
Yeah. 18.
Is it a kid?
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say because our season doesn't open till Friday.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a big old deer.
As a giant. I mean, it's an absolute giant. It's interesting.
Giant.
But yeah, I mean, anybody that's listened to any of our podcasts know that I do some guiding on the side. And anytime I try to go hunt a big deer, I go up north. And just because, especially down here, you'll find big deer down here, but where I live, I live down by the lake. You're just not going to find, you just don't find a lot of big deer down here. But by gosh, we did. He's probably, he's 160 all day long. If I get lucky, he might touch 170. I don't know. He's a big deer.
He kept his mass out of velvet too.
I know. Like
he's not like all the way up mass, but I'd say low 170s personally.
Yeah. Do we have a picture of said deers? Or?
Yeah, I'll try. I've got better.
No. You'll see it on Saturday.
So are we saying he's is he like a 4-cup deer or like a 3.5? What's
he's probably 5.5 triple D.
How many?
I don't know if I can.
Oh, jeez, yeah. Okay.
Here, hold on. Let me try to
video too.
Let me try.
Body small.
He's growing. He's growing. He's young. He's a young one.
He ain't no corn-fed deer like you guys up in Ohio.
Oh, geez, he's like a washing machine wide or something like that. He's huge.
Yeah,
I think they call those porch bucks out here.
Yeah, he's got to be probably 20 or 21 inches inside. You know what I mean? Inside spread. So
maybe more.
Maybe more.
14-inch tines.
Here's the bad thing, though, and we'll see how the season progresses. So,
do you want a crossbow? I got a crossbow for you.
Yeah, I'll freaking shoot this thing.
He's on federal land where you can't hunt.
Yeah, exactly. So, had this deer really regular. September 4th, daylight. September 6th, daylight. That video right there, September 7th, daylight. And just... he was hitting that camera hard along with other bucks and even out of velvet. So it's not like he got out of velvet and then changed patterns or anything like that, right? He's hard horn just on this pattern. September 8th rolls around. First late picture I get of him, and it's probably even better to say first early picture I get of him. It's like 1:15, 1:30 in the morning, and he's on that camera, and he's got, a horrible limp to him. And bad, like to the point to where he won't even put his back left leg like on the ground. And so that's my fear, is that he's been hit by a car. But here's the only thing that's kind of got me hopeful is in that video I just showed you. If you look at it, because I've been analyzing like every video I have of him right now, of late. He's stiff. Like when he walks, like in his back end, he's super stiff. So I don't know if maybe he already has something going on. And like, that was just like an early picture. Maybe he's bedded close and he got up and hasn't quite worked everything out yet. You know what I mean?
Like me.
That's just me being super hopeful. But this property is right by one of the highways. So there's also the very high probability that he got hit by a car. And so now I'm in this fear because I haven't got a picture of him since.
Is it in your jurisdiction as a police officer?
It's close. It's the county above me. So
okay, so man that highway.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he gets hit by a car, just put a carcass tag on him.
Yeah,
throw him in the trunk.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, I'm nervous.
For the record.
And yeah, no, I'm nervous and I'm excited. Obviously, season starts Friday, but I'm also nervous in the fact that did he walk off and die? I'm not going to know until in the season because I'm not going to go looking for him.
He's not the man.
Yeah, so I'm just, we'll see what happens. But I'm excited. I'm super excited.
I think best case or in worst case scenario, I think he's bedded in there. I think that's his home turf from the times that he's coming out and the way he's looking. I think he's living there. So you just got to be cautious. And that's why I think you got to get him earlier is if he is, I feel like my mic keeps cutting out.
No, he can hear
anyway.
me.
Sounds fine.
Yeah,
sounds fine. Okay. Once he starts, as soon as they drop their velvet, they're going to start rutting no matter what from hard horn to hard horn. So he doesn't pull and fall out of there. So
yeah.
Does he have water? Does he have everything he needs on that side?
Yeah, he doesn't have it's not like we've got just like a giant river or anything that runs through it. There's a pond. So where they're bedding at, there's, probably a pond 150, 200 yards away. And it's probably 110, 150 acres. And there's some other like smaller bucks on there, but he definitely runs that property. There's ag fields to the south of the farm, but there's like the biggest chunk of timber is what I'm hunting. So I think they're bedding not that far. And especially with I got a daylight photo and video of him at like 7:10 in the morning. I got that one at like 7 something at night. And then I got another one at like early 7 o'clock at night one time. So yeah, all daylight activity, everything to get you excited. And then this freaking happens. And now my freaking heart's been palpitating.
So, what's your access to this property for hunting?
Not good.
This is
not good. It freaking sucks. Which we'll see. I've been talking with the farmer trying to figure out exactly what all land he owns because I'm not 100% sure if he owns the property that butts up to this road to the west. But the way I'd like to access it is basically park off the road to the far west of this property, and there's a dried up creek bed, and just walk this creek bed right. And because my stand that I hung for him just the other day sits right off this dried up creek bed, and there's like logging trails that all meet right there that call that camera and that stand that I'm hunting and call it the hub, because it's just a bunch of logging roads that just meet right
He's
there.
using that to travel.
Yeah. And exactly. And so if I can't access it that way, then I have to come from the north and then basically walk the outskirts of it and then come down and access it that way, because that'd be the only other way I could. So I've got a stand hung for him for any wind that I get. So preferably try to kill him on a north or a northeast wind. So,
well, you got the Red Moon opening day there in Missouri. So
yeah,
so that'll be your help.
Be big. Yeah.
For those of you that don't like following moon phases, I'm only big in a couple moon phases. One full moon, they feed all night long. I mean, they're feeding all night long. Don't even bother, in my opinion, don't even bother the next day. Like, it's just, I've never had good luck on. Everyone's like, hunt the full moon, blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, if you're night hunting or something like that. A big one is either a new moon or the red moon is the way to go. That's really something with the centrifugal force of the earth spinning slows down, and gravitational pull, it just throws them crazy. So they come out of their bed, they're forced to get up.
And the moon guide's big.
Yeah. Have you ever paid attention to when the moon's underfoot? So if I have the Hunt Stand app and I've been using it for years, and almost every time that the moon is underfoot, I see a deer moving.
What does that mean?
So when it's on the opposite side of the world.
Okay.
So it's not up, but when it's on the opposite side, they're moving, and it could be middle of the afternoon or close to, prime time, last hour of the day. But I wouldn't say it's 100%, but time's valuable. And if I see that it's going to correspond with a hunting time, that's one of my times I get out there.
So basically you're saying where it's like basically in line with you during that time segment. So if it's 7 o'clock and it's the last hour, if it lines up directly below you on the other side of the world.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
Okay. No, I've never heard that.
Interesting.
Pretty interesting.
I was just going to say, all the pictures that I've had of him have been on the last quarter of the moon, like the last quarter, and actually on a northeast wind. I just got done looking.
Going to a new moon.
Loving that new moon. They love that.
Also, another big one for me, I've always hunted and always been successful, is the night before a storm comes in. Yep. They always come out earlier. Like if it's going to rain or thunderstorm or snow that night, you better be in the woods early, because they're going to be coming out. They're going to be looking to feed before they go. Not so much that after the storm, but really anytime. I don't care the moon phase. I don't care the temperature. If it's going to storm that night after dark, you better be in the stand. Even if the wind is kind of iffy, take the chance, because they're going to come. Spray down, really cover up.
I also love hunting post rainstorm. I mean, just like most like anybody, because especially if you have a buck that's been hitting a scrape post rainstorm, beyond that scrape.
Yeah. I always find the night after is great for me. If there's a big storm, kind of like that hurricane that went through Newfoundland, the night after was great. They really seem to come out and want to feed after being buttoned down for a day.
It's probably all pressure, right? Like, I mean, you probably get those high pressure.
All pressure related.
Yeah, it's all pressure. I mean, anybody that's been deer hunting for a while knows once you start hitting that number, that 30, once you start hitting 30 and up, you're going to start seeing a lot more movement. So
it almost like makes them antsy. Like they can't sit there any longer. Like it's the pressure gets to them in a way that they have to get up. They got to get moving. They got to feed. Their body's telling them to protect itself, and that's just the way it just pushes them up out of their beds. All good stuff. Well, hopefully you get them. We can get you back on the front page again.
Yeah, we'll see. We will see. I'm gonna have to really hope that I don't just shoot the 120-inch 8-point that's also on camera. So.
Hold that.
Hey man.
Hold that.
You got to make room. You got to do it.
Yeah.
I don't judge. Yeah. My wife recently put a 6-inch 3-pointer on our hit list, because we live, so the way our house is we're at the top of the hill, and then we have ravine down to a creek, and it's just like a ridge around the top. And because of our dogs, none of the deer ever usually come up here. Well, this deer for the first time ever got ballsy, and my wife comes home and his ass is sitting in the garden eating all of her flowers. So she looked at my son. She's like, "You're either going to shoot him or I am."
Nice.
And I was like, "Well, I guess he's on the hit list." So,
oh boy, that's Backstrap City. Good. Yeah. That's awesome.
But they're finally losing their velvet here. It's a little bit late for us. Typically, beginning of September, they're done, but they're still holding on. Some of them. I got an 8-pointer still in velvet full, and that little 3-pointer's out. A couple other decent deer, but nothing crazy. A couple bear running around. One good one. Hopefully, we can get a handle on. So we'll see what happens. youth season September 30th. So got to make some moves.
That's when ours opens up.
Yep.
September 30th here in Ohio.
Yep.
Coming
Saturday,
fast.
right? Is that Saturday?
Yep.
Yeah.
We've got, well, all the deer that we've been trying to watch, they're all out of velvet, all the ones that I've seen, but there's been some weird shifts here lately. We had a couple that were regulars on some cameras moving around, and the cell cams have been dead for the last 2 weeks. So we're going to have to adjust and see where they went. And then there's one that the area that we're trying to hunt that probably where you and Noel will go, that farm. There's a nice one, but the cell signal is absolutely zero. So I've got a camera in there right now, just a regular camera, and check the card every 2 weeks. And there's a picture of him that's been going around through us. I think he's, 13 points, something like that. So he's a nice deer.
I want Crazy
He's pretty
Rick,
regular.
whatever that
Yeah.
deer is. The one that's
Oh,
like
yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Oh,
Rick.
Goofy.
Yeah.
Goofy.
Rick.
Yeah.
Richard. It's Richard.
Richard.
I got him. He hangs out in a little, it's probably a 4 or 5 acre patch of woods. It's like hundreds of yards from anything. And it's a place where I keep a cell cam in there because once the pressure hits, like as in hunters hit all the woods around there, the bucks go hide in there and they're safe. There's water in there. They're surrounded by ag fields and people drive right by it. I mean, it's literally
Old Richard's going to go down.
So I keep a camera in the middle of that so I don't have to go in there. But that's Richard's.
We'll probably see Richard every hunt we're on. We'll see Richard every
probably have to
hunt.
throw sticks
Better
at him
save
and get
him.
him out of there.
Get out
Put
of
a
here,
collar
Richard.
on him.
Yeah.
But he's gonna lose in a fight if he gets in one. He's only got one sticking up and then one sticking down by his eye. So he's
That
he's
kind of
unique
deer right there.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I saw a guy on social shot a bull elk that way. He had a big club hanging down this way and then like a 3-point hanging up this way. I was like,
That's awesome.
Actually, I think it was Nick Munt that shot him. Totally.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Pretty cool. So yeah, so good. It looks like things are coming underway here. So Lee, what do you got going on down there? Good on camera, or you poaching off of these guys?
No, it's weird where so I've got cams out in one spot where we did the food plot, and I've got lots of does, very few bucks, which is unusual. Normally
That's
I get
good thing. Though.
Yeah,
It's good for rut though.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and it's a unique property. It used to be ag fields back there. There's about 5 acres, but my cousin who owns it let it turn back into natural prairie. There's trees growing up. So we decided to try to do the food plot, and I learned some lessons. So the whole point of the food plot was to try to get the deer to stay there longer. And because it's just a travel corridor, it's along a creek bottom. On one end, on the east end, there's ag fields, and then along the extreme north and west, there's more ag fields, so they kind of go back and forth, but there's really nothing that keeps them there. I'm hoping what little did grow will keep them there just long enough come this fall. But yeah, it's very unusual. No bucks early season, which I've hunted there the last 5 years, and I've always seen bucks early season. So worst case scenario, we see some end of October, November. But
you can bait, right?
Yes. So I normally do, but this time I was hoping the food plot, I might have to drop some corn, but we'll see. I don't know.
Just spread it out so it doesn't feel like you are. That's all. Do the old Chris Brackett trick. Just spread it thin.
Yeah.
Speaking of a corn trick, if you lay it in a line, and this I learned from
T-bone.
T-bone, yeah, it works.
Put a stick down the middle of it.
Or a stick. It doesn't even have to. You don't even have to do that. Just make the corn in a line, and they will line up.
They come in like this.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then I'm getting ready to head out to Colorado middle of next month, but it's for rifle elk. But super pumped about it.
Cool.
At least you're a traditionalist, Colorado. You said it the right way.
Yeah, not Colorado.
Colorado.
Yeah. So yeah, we put some points on that this year. My buddy and I went archery a couple years ago. He missed twice. I won't say his name. I got 0 shots. But this time we were like, all right, how can we increase our odds? And so we ended up doing first rifle. So
totally get it. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, my thing with, I don't call myself an elk hunter because I've been a bunch of times and I've shot one, but I'm an elk enthusiast, and whatever it does to get your first one on the ground to get that taste is just, it's worth it, man. It is worth it. I will tell you that everyone that I know that's an avid bow hunter that goes on their first elk hunt and chooses rifle ends up shooting one within like 40 yards or less with the rifle.
Oh, yeah. Don't jinx it.
Yep, that's what happened. My buddy shot a 350 last year in Colorado, and it was like 42 yards. Wow. 300 Win mag. He's like, it's not even fair.
Wow.
Well, hopefully, right? Hopefully it happens. But that's sweet. You got to keep us posted on that. There's nothing better than elk season. I'm missing it right now. I'd be in my last day of elk hunting if I left after, like I was supposed to, after Newfoundland, but it was just too close together.
Well, you had a
guy texted me like, "Are you coming or not?" And I'm like,
I'm still sick.
Yeah. Once you hear those bugles in person,
there's nothing like it, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, I've hunted whitetail, black bear my whole life, and there is nothing like hunting elk in the mountains. Like,
I can imagine.
I'm a fat bastard now, and I still love it. Like, I would do anything to get in shape and get back out there. There's no better feeling than that.
It's also the hardest hunt. Well, I can't say that because
sheep hunts are the hardest hunts, but yeah, it depends on what part. The first elk hunt I went on, man, I thought I was going to die. I was in pretty good shape, and we climbed up. We bedded at, I think, 9,000 or 10,000 feet. We climbed up to 12,000 feet, and then we overlooked this bowl they call Devil's Gorge in Utah, and the elk bottom that was 6,500 feet, like just straight down.
Wow.
So we went from 12,000 to 6,500, and then the only way out was up. So we didn't get out of there till like midnight. Slept, went back up the next morning. I was like, I'm not going back down there again. Thank God there was hunters that beat us down there. I was like, I don't have to go back down there again. That was the hardest thing ever. Let alone if we had to get an elk out of there, I have no idea. We'd still be doing it.
I was in pretty good shape, and my buddy was in pretty good shape, and we asked our guide. He's just walking. We're sitting there dying. Of course, Ohio, Colorado, the altitude difference matters, but we are sitting there having the hardest time, and we go, what do you do, Edwin? What do you do to train? And he's like, come up a month ahead of time and drink a bunch of Busch Light.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, it's totally different. The guys we had that live there, they're locals from there. And this guy's 6'1", 300 pounds. He's not in shape or anything, but he hoofs up those mountains like it's his job. And it's just he's like, I've done it since I'm 4 years old. It's just like you walk into the mailbox, or walk into the beach at sea level. It's the same thing. They're just used to it. But their blood is thinner up there, so it's easier for them to carry oxygen. Proven, it's scientific fact. Like, if you're born up there in that altitude, your blood is thinner, so you have an easier way of handling it. But man, it's disheartening. Some of these guys cover ground. Like, when they were looking for my milk, this one kid's 18. He's like, I'm gonna go up there, go over there, go over here, go there, go there, go there. I'm like, I'm just getting out of the truck. What do you mean you're going over here? He was back in 45 minutes. He's like, no elk. I'm like, okay.
That's crazy.
That's where the mental game really was the hardest part too. Just not wanting to give up, letting you put that other foot forward, taking it.
You also have no choice, right? So you have two choices. You stay there by yourself, or you go. Those are your choices. And the guides really don't like option one.
Yeah.
So
one of our guides,
you're blurred.
Literally had.
Yeah.
Hi, Easton.
You're blurry.
What's up, buddy?
Say hi.
Hello.
Hey.
That's his nickname is Match Grade. We've upgraded him to Match Grade.
Easton.
Easton Match Grade, he is.
His genetics are really, I think, the same as mine. So
he's like mini you.
Yep. Pretty much. All right, bud.
Okay.
You say hi and bye. Brush
Good
your
night,
teeth
buddy.
right now.
Don't rinse after you brush. Just spit it out.
You'll brush your teeth or something.
Go tie up my deer for me.
You can stay up till mom's home. He got a freebie tonight because our daughter had marching band, so he gets to stay up with dad till mom gets home. Little freebie time. Yeah. All right.
Score. It's the best.
Oh yeah.
And then I get in trouble when he gets home. Yeah. Why is he not in bed?
It's part
Exactly.
of the course, right?
Yeah. It's a dad thing. You guys all do it too, I'm sure.
Get used to it, Cedric.
You're right. Nova, go to sleep.
I had to get my son to bed for our thing. I was up there at 7:15 getting him in bed.
Yeah.
He skipped a nap today though, so he was well on his way.
So Josh, let's talk a little bit about our trip here to Newfoundland.
What a trip, man.
I don't know about you, man, but you were there a week longer than me, and I still haven't recovered from it. I don't know what it was.
I'm still trying
There's
to. I don't know why. They hammered
something off.
Brown bag flu or what?
Where we were, it was an hour and a half time difference. So you want to talk about getting messed up? 1 hour's okay, 2 hours, 3 hours, I get it. But
weird.
1.5,
So
every night, me and him were like, oh shit,
what time is it? what day is it?
Yeah,
absolutely. Just man, that was, I appreciate you inviting me, Paul, because that was hands down probably the hardest, most fascinating hunt I've ever had in my life, all the way around. Every bit of it is insane.
Yeah. Let's start it off that Josh is used to hunting in South Africa, where it's
oh god, here we go.
It's a game preserve.
Here we go.
You pick which animal you want. They come walking out. So we're sitting in the bear stand, and Josh is like, "So when does the bear come out?" I'm like, "I don't know, Tuesday."
I
I don't know, pick a day.
I hunted for those damn sand bears so hard, Newfoundland, but even Africa, like hunting Cape buffalo and spot stalk it for 3 days, that sucks too. But it's fun,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's fun.
wouldn't trade it for the
Definitely
world.
is. And then the hardest part, as amazing it was, is first hour of the first day, we end up closing on a moose, and that turned into a whole day fiasco. And by the time we sat down to dinner at 10 o'clock at night, like we looked at each other, we're like, all right, cool, we had some drinks, celebrated, we went to bed. The next morning we're like, what the hell happened?
It was
like,
nuts.
what day is it? What is going on?
What happened yesterday?
But it's like we got there and it was cold and rainy, and I mean, we didn't think it was ever going to stop raining. From the minute we got to Toronto all the way to Deer Lake, the whole drive up, the whole first day, it was just raining. Cedric was gracious enough to give us his camera for the hunt. We didn't even bring it out on the first day because that's how hard it was raining. And I'm just like,
Cedric, I felt bad. I let him make the call, man. I knew in Paul, you know what I'm saying? I knew that was going to happen because the moment in the morning I'm like, okay, it's pounding rain. It's going to get harder at 9, Paul says. I'm thinking, dang it, Cedric's camera. I'm going to end up ruining it. I'm going to feel horrible about it. I said, Paul, you make the call here, GoPro or Cedric's camera. And he did say take the GoPro, but I was thankful because I was scared to take your camera, but I should have.
You shouldn't have been scared. It's not like it's big, expensive camera.
But I know, but still, it was raining hard enough, and then oddly enough, like as day
you should have got like a 5-gallon just bag and just put over it.
Well, I had one. I didn't want to be responsible for making that call. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I'm gonna be carrying this. It's up to you, Paul.
My response is I've never killed anything in my life in the first hour on the first day of a trip, and I didn't realize that nasty, shitty cold weather is moose weather, and it was the opposite. So I was just like, I'm not gonna see shit till Wednesday anyway, so let's just go for a walk. And it happened real quick. And then
how many arrows did you say it?
Counting the one I missed, 5
5-cent arrows.
So the first one was through his chest, frontal. That's that big blood trail that you saw the pictures of.
It was
he ran out to 60 yards, turned broadside, looked at us like, what the hell just happened? He ran out to 60 yards, turned broadside, looked at us like, what the hell just happened? Josh and I ran up to him, grabbed an arrow, and pulled back. He ranged him 62 yards, put my 60 pin behind his shoulder, pulled the trigger, and he just hurled off and ran. And like a deer step is like this far, a moose step is like 2 car lengths.
Yeah.
So you don't realize, like they say, like, oh, they could be gone in a minute, and you don't know. They literally take 2 steps and they've gone 100 yards. It is unbelievably ridiculous.
Yeah.
Not even how quick they move, but how fluid they move. And their stride is just huge. So I missed. So then we tracked him. He ran about a mile. We tracked him down the lake, around. I mean, we didn't track him. We just walked on the blood trail. It was like the yellow brick road. And then we saw a couple bull moose, and they were all kind of looking down in this other field. So we crested the hill and we looked over and we saw his antlers bedded down. We got some pretty good footage of him in the grass bedded with his rack standing up, and this other big moose with these beautiful chocolate velvet antlers, just gorgeous, standing over him. Probably similar in size, but not as long of tines, but bigger paddles. Just a really, and Josh was making fun of him because he had huge beard. His like beard was like
4 foot long.
Had to be 4 feet long. His beard was really long, like just
big old gobbler,
big mature moose.
He's a daddy moose. Yeah.
And he wouldn't leave him alone. It was literally an hour and a half. We stood there watching him, and he would like walk over to him, nudge him, walk back, feed for a half hour, walk over to him, like walk around. Then he bedded down right on the edge of the field. And then we're like, all right, we're screwed. What do we do? So he moved
wait. Well, I will say something in that moment, because Paul, I think you'll now backtracking, hindsight's 2020, right? You'll agree. Remember when I told Junior, our guide, we should hit that
get
draw?
Up to the next.
And you agreed later. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were up on this hill, and there's a draw to the left that kind of came around naturally to where they were bedded, and there was a draw to the right. And Josh said immediately, because the bull was feeding to the left and ours was facing the left, that, hey, let's just go right down in this draw. I mean, there was 4 bulls this way to the right, so I don't think scaring them would have mattered. They were pretty far off. But if we went down in that ravine, in hindsight, the first time he got up, we probably could have smoked him again right there.
Yeah.
But we didn't. We waited. Honestly, I thought he was going to die right in the bed from the first shot because the amount of blood that was there.
I was surprised whenever you said you shot him that many times. It's like, why?
Insane.
Like you freaking severed his jugular.
You had the second tag with your uncle, right? Was he not with you guys in order to like? Could he have got a shot?
No, we were 1-on-1. So if we were two hunters on one guide, he could have easily got it. Like it got to the point we waited so long that the guide was like, if we have to wait another 15 minutes for this moose, we're just going to shoot the second one. Like seriously, he's like, I don't think that moose is going to die. It's been an hour and 45 minutes. He's still like up and down with his head, looking around, chewing. Like I don't know how he's still alive, but he is. And he's like, we're just going to shoot the second one. I'm like, okay, let's do that. But then my moose got up, walked into the woods like 20 yards, bedded down in the woods, looking the other way. And then this other big moose finally got up, walked like right up to him, like smelled him. They must have been buddies. And then he went back in the woods and bedded down right there. So I was able to then sneak around to the left, got up to where they were bedded, about 60 yards, got to 42, 43 yards, and he stood up and I sent one right behind the shoulder. And then the grass was like, what, Josh, like chest high, a little bit lower than chest high down in there. So I had to hit him a little bit higher than I wanted to because it's like that little low, like you get it in Colorado and Utah, like that oak brush almost. So I hit him right behind the shoulder and he just stood there and looked at me.
You should have seen it from the side. It's unbelievable.
From far away, it had to be like the Wild West because like I come up, shoot him, boom, he doesn't move, grab another arrow, draw back, shoot him again right behind the shoulder. And then like he starts trotting away. So I grab another arrow, my last arrow I have. He starts trotting away. I'm like, I'm spining this guy. He's not going anywhere. So I just put it on his back thigh and just ripped it. And it went all the way up to the knock. And he just reared up and kicked and then just limped off. And then we heard him crash in the woods. So, and then he was like, he kind of stopped at like 100 yards and looked back because they kind of look at you like, what the hell just happened? And the guide's like, I hear him from like 500 yards away. Shoot him. And I'm like, arrows. And Josh is like, I think he's out of arrows.
Quiver looks empty.
So I've never been an advocate of carrying a lot of arrows, but I wish I had 7 arrows instead of a 5-arrow quiver on this this hunt. So if you're doing anything out west, just for the sheer fact of shit can happen, definitely do it. I used to make fun of, look at that guy with his 9-arrow quiver. Ha ha ha. Here I am. So we got up to him and he was bedded down, breathing. He was going to die. He got up and waddled a little bit and we're like, we're just going to back out and leave him. And he ended up dying right there. So yeah, that was from 6:23 was the first arrow fired. And I think we got him to the truck at 11:30.
I can't wait to see the footage. That's going to be awesome.
It was a heck of a hunt. Unbelievable to be camera guy. I knew, we got that first. I think the only video footage you saw of it was the initial us in the open field when Paul saw him in that timber, right? Paul, you said there he is, right? Because I swung the camera and I was like, oh, Shinez dead. I'm getting down, because I didn't want to blow Paul's hunt up. Right here I am standing up. Oh,
Josh hit rock bottom quick. Like you see the pan over and there's the moose, and then boom, you just see it go right down.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm getting out of here because I don't want to bust this hunt up for Paul. But at that point, I would say it was almost like the cow moose and I later, or even the bear hunt, it became fluid. It became the guide saying, hey, guys, go. And Paul and I knew exactly what to do. And that was, I'm sneaking up parallel with Paul. I'm going when he's going, right? But I want to make sure that range is correct for him. But I'm behind the sapling and I'm staying hidden. But I've got the GoPro in my hand, but I'm looking at Paul, I'm looking at the moose, and it was as insane for me as it was him, I'm sure.
And the great part about it is, Josh and I have never hunted together, but it was like we've hunted together for years because like it was, all right, we're in like 100 yards. Okay. Like I start going, like I didn't even have to say anything. Like he just snuck in right behind me. We crouched down. We went. And I was like, range. And I heard him click, click, click. So I know he was doing his thing. Then we got up to the bush and Josh was like, go right. He's like, I'll flank left. And it was just like, he went left. I went right. And it was just like,
perfect.
It just happened. Like it was, there were so many times and so much shit that could have went wrong in that instance. And it just didn't. And honestly, like where the moose was, like we saw the top of his body and his rack and his ears, but his head was buried in that. It's like this low oak, but it's wild mint. The whole field is full of wild spearmint. So it's like heaven walking through there and hunting. You're like, oh God, it's like a wintergreen commercial,
Except for the 20,000 mosquitoes on your face where you're walking.
Yeah, except for that.
Lord. Ugh.
It was pretty epic. So we got some really good footage. We got footage of him running away. The only thing that I wish in the footage is I did wish we had the bigger camera to zoom in. Like you see me shooting, you see the halo knock going. You could hear the impact. You could see the moose run away, but you can't see it's not like he's that close,
Right.
Yeah. Right. It's a little bit farther away.
And I look back on it and I think, man, I wish I'd had Cedric's camera. But then the other part of me goes, Paul and I talked about this a lot.
It wouldn't have been smooth as it was.
It wouldn't have been smooth. We love the GoPro. GoPro. So GoPro, you guys are doing awesome stuff, because this new GoPro 11 Black is awesome for everything. It's remote ability.
We need like a 10 times zoom. Come on, if my Apple iPhone can do a 10, 11, 12, 14 times zoom, your little GoPro can go more than, what was it, 1.4?
1.4. We were best around in the lodge, But we both agree. I am happy I bought it, because for me, for maneuverability and quick hunts, I already love the thing.
Yeah.
And I got burned by it, like the bear. I burned myself on that one, but I learned,
Yep, absolutely.
Was the velvet as like striped or as variegated as it looked in the images?
More so.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So the one image I showed you guys where his whole body looks really gray, like he's not brown, he's like gray looking, and his antlers are like a dark gray with like this light gray. And Josh said it the best. It looks like marble rye.
It does.
Looks like marble rye bread. Yeah. And there was like the big moose standing over him was chocolate brown velvet.
Beautiful moose.
Beautiful moose. And no other moose like they said they see moose with marbling like that, but not to that extent. So that's why I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. So,
oh man, I go back and I actually I'm not even the hunter, and I told Paul, I like that as much as being the hunter, because I get to relive that with him. I know what his body and his mind were feeling at the moment of the shot, and to have those two moose, like, they were 100 yards away, and when they popped out of that timber, at least the one he shot popped out, I couldn't do anything, because I'm holding a GoPro like a little kid, my jaw on the ground going, holy crap, are they big? And I'm just send it, baby. And my last range, and of course I'm trying to range right, because like sometimes you'll get guys that are like 220, 15, 240, and I'm like consistently ranging him. I'm like, I'm like 51, 49, 50, 49. And I knew he was getting ready. And the last range, he's starting to draw. I'm like 50. I'm like, hit it. He just went. Yeah. And you can hear the arrow through the air, and then just whack, like right through the shoulder. It was crazy.
It was funny because his rangefinder has a pretty loud click, so you could hear him in the background just click. And then I was like, range, and then the last one, he's like, all right, I think it was like 52 or something like that. He was like 52, and the minute he said like the 2 came out, it was just like whack, and they just hit him.
And I watched that knock. It drove clear up to the knock. It buried clear up to the halo knock, and my eyes were just like, holy cow, that just happened,
Yeah.
It was something.
Yeah, it was pretty up. And it was so surreal because it was it's the first morning, you're excited, it's opening day, blah blah blah, but like you never think you're gonna see anything. Like, I've been on so many guided hunts and western hunts and stuff like that where it's like, okay, by day 4 you're like, are there even things here to look at? And then 16 bull moose later, like we're like, holy shit, like just they're there.
Yeah, that first morning. Because then beyond that, after you went back home, we had 4 or 5 days of hot weather, and it was nothing. Nothing was going.
96% success on moose, and so there must be a lot.
So that we will tell you is pre-COVID. They didn't have any hunters 19, 20, and half of 21. They get 100 tags for the government for the lodge, and they say they get about anywhere between 55 and 65 moose, like any sort of moose. There's people that go up and just shoot a moose, or they shoot a little, they don't care, And they said probably in the realm of 10 to 15 very good representation of the area. So take 10 or 15 out of 100 tags, and that's really, like, my moose, the guide said, was exceptional for the area. So I would say the one that was with him was every bit as big, maybe not time length, but made it up in paddle width. The other ones were close. There's probably 2 other ones that were close, nothing bigger. I don't know, Josh, you saw the one on the side of the road. I don't know how that one compared, but
I mean his pans were big. We saw him late one night beside the road after I shot that cow moose, and his pans were really big, but your tines were longer. I mean, he was a big moose, but you get to that size, they're all huge.
Yeah. So the one that was with mine had short tines, and the reason we went after this one and chose this one was he just had, like, his one side is, his tines are like this long, like they're just really like something different that you don't see on a moose, and then there's one living in town that has 24 points. Their stat rate is up there. We got lucky that we were really the first bow hunters in 3 years up there. COVID really killed them. Tourists really killed them. People are coming for the gun season. Not many people bow hunt, but I would absolutely do it again. I would like to be there opening day. I love going, if I'm paying for a hunt, I want to be the first person there. I've gone to some whitetail hunts in the Midwest where you're the 150th person that sat in that tree stand, and the littlest deer that knows nothing walks by and goes, huh? Hi. It's like, okay, come on. Like, there's been a million people there. So I like being the first people on the property. It's whether it's hot, whatever, I don't need to freeze my butt off and do all that. So one thing I didn't realize in my research, and this is my fault, I never checked the season dates this year. So the season actually happened a week and a half earlier than it normally does. So I was telling Josh, like, we're going to be right in the middle, beginning of the rut. Like, we'll see some fighting. We'll be able to call them in. They'll be hard horned. Well, I didn't realize that when we were going is a week and a half earlier than they usually start for whatever reason. They changed it. So that's why they're in full velvet. But yeah, I mean, they got good success rate. Plenty of moose. I mean, if you just want to take a moose for the meat, or you're looking for a trophy, I would probably wait more towards the rut if you're saying I want to go get a trophy. Like, they say 14 points and up is good for their area, what they see. So 14, 15, 16, 17. And then obviously however big or wide from there can vary, but they judge them by the points up there, where some of the Alaskan mooses width or paddle size or whatever, they judge them by the actual times that's on there. So yeah, I mean, it was a hunt of a lifetime. It was pretty great. I mean, the food was fantastic. I mean, we had 3 meals a day. The ladies cooked. Their desserts were just unbelievable. I'm not like I like dessert. I'm fat. Like, you can tell me that, but like, I don't sit there and eat dessert after every meal. And Josh and I were having dessert at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, it was, it was good home cooking. I cooked a couple nights. Like, they went scallop dredging. I seared up some scallops for them, and then I took the inner loin of the moose out and marinated it and grilled it quick, and we ate that. The meat is phenomenal. Just real. I can't wait to get the meat back. I think I'm more excited about the meat than the actual anything else about it. The meat has been fantastic. So I got a bunch of sausage and stuff made up.
You also got some shaved, right? For like
cheesesteaks and stuff like that.
Cheesesteaks and stuff like that. I thought that'd be awesome.
Yeah. They take some of the roasts and they flash freeze it, and then they slice it on the slicer. Sort of like cheesesteaks or chipped dry beef, or obviously it's not dried, but like anything like that you want to use it for fajitas or stir fry or something like that. So hot sausage, mild sausage, honey, garlic, and maple, and then a bunch of ground cut with fat, and then prime steaks. So we'll divide it up, and we'll send some care packages out to y'all, because I can't eat 600 pounds of moose. I still have about 150 pounds of elk meat that I haven't gone through. We eat it, but we don't eat it every day. I mean, we're big fish and chicken eaters, and we have steak like once a week, but usually in the wintertime, we eat more wild game. In the summer, we typically don't touch it, we ate it all winter. So we take a break, but now it gets around season, and after the holidays, we eat a decent amount of it. So got the new freezer sitting right there.
You're gonna need it for that. How many boxes? 8 boxes of meat or something like that?
How many cubic foot?
15,000, right? 15,000.
So, like, when you go to Lowe's,
it's a warehouse.
How many deer freezer is it? We want to know how many deer.
Yeah, like when you see the Home Depot, they have the 1 deer, 2 deer. So actually, this freezer my mother-in-law got for us, it's a door freezer, and it's got 7 drawers in it. So we're actually going to transfer. We do a bunch of like corn. We'll buy it fresh from the farm. We'll blanch it and shuck it and freeze it, so we have fresh corn all year round. Tomatoes, green beans, stuff like that. So we have fresh vegetables, blueberries all year round. So this will be our vegetable fridge, because it's got the drawers, and then we'll transfer the chest freezers over to meat.
I think the inner tenderloin you made in the grill that day, probably one of the best meats I've ever had. I mean, he did like an easy marinade, but you grilled that like perfectly done. Just what would you call it? Medium rare, like that.
Well, the center of it was rare, and then medium rare out to the ends, and it was just like, I mean, all we did, we brought the moose back. He started butchering it. I cut half of the inner loin in. It was a chunk like this, and threw it in a marinade and just grilled it that night. Quick. So it was just perfect, like
phenomenal,
richer, tender, more soft than filet, just really great flavor.
And then I had a couple of days after you left, Barb made us, the owner, made my wife and I like a moose stew, and it was just simply moose chunks with taters and carrots, some sort of salt, pepper, like a simple seasoning. And whatever she did, she put some love in there or something, because it was like rich, thick moose stew. And you can imagine that the taste just popped. Like, it was just perfect. So Barb's an awesome lady.
Yeah, she's just really hospitable, just great. All the ladies were. It's basically a female run business. Barb's 70 something. She has 2-3 cooks that are in their 50s to 60s, and then a couple people that help and clean and stuff. And then the guides are older guys. And and they just run it. I mean, you couldn't even find a speck of dust in that place if you wanted to.
Yeah,
it was pretty awesome.
It was the most relaxing. I mean, for me, I would say that, being there for the amount of time I did, it was the most relaxing / grueling trip I've ever been on. I mean, there are points where, we were tracking that cow moose the next morning, and both Junior, our guide, and I thought we were all going to die because we were just exhausted. We'd been tracking the night before, and I made that shot that was too high. We had an issue with range finding, and you guys probably heard that story. But I learned a lot of stuff on this trip. Number one, it's sometimes better to be a camera guy than a bow hunter. I like doing that just as much. I just like to be there to support Paul, and so I think sometimes I'll probably. I mean, I'm the kind of guy that wants to make sure people are having a good time and they're having a trip of a lifetime. So I think at that point, I just sat back and enjoyed that first day. I was in shock. And then beyond that, it was like all hunting at that point. It turned into bear hunting and moose hunting. And, he transferred his uncle's license to myself to hunt moose, which was great. And I had one opportunity in about 5 seconds to put a shot at a moose. And of course, that was my fault on that. Saw a huge bear early, got burned by it. And Paul was still there with me. Paul got to watch me almost die in a tree stand because my wimpy rear end got too cold. You can exploit that, Paul, because I was a baby. I got so cold so quick.
There was one night, and it's besides the first day, it was like 70s and windy throughout the day. And then when we got into the bear stand, it just turned cloudy and we were in the pines. It must have got down in the low 40s and started drizzling. But man, the wind and the dampness just went right through you. It got to I thought he was going to shake out of the stand. It got to the point where I was just like, Josh, like put your rain gear on just to keep the heat like in you.
That was after he called me a sissy. I mean, I was called a sissy, but then I sucked it up. I put the rain jacket on. And he was right. The rain jacket kept me nice and toasty. It helped.
I did call him some choice words. I'm not gonna.
I wanted to shoot a grouse. Like we didn't see anything that night. Just a dumb grouse. I was like, can I shoot that? Can I shoot this? Can I shoot that?
I've never seen a person get so excited to see an animal ever. Like that's what it was like. It was like hunting with my son. He was like, I was like,
I'm like, come on, Dad, I don't want to shoot.
He's sitting there freezing and shivering, and I go, Josh, and he's like, what? I'm like, our first animal is right there, and he's like, there. I'm like, no, it's like,
where's it at?
He's like, I'm gonna kill the grouse. I want to kill it. I'm like, you can't. It's not season.
You can't kill
yet.
the grouse.
Like, damn it.
It's one of those nights. You know what I'm talking about, boys?
Mm-hmm.
You've all been there. We had a few of those. We had fun though. It was fun. I will never trade any of those nights for anything because I'll tell you what, Paul. I know I didn't tell you maybe personally, but I'll tell you now publicly. That's a hunt of a lifetime. That's a memory for me. I'll have my entire life.
Oh yeah.
And you made that, and so I appreciate that. And I know,
my pleasure.
Things are never perfect. Like everything's an adventure. Every hunt we're on is adventure.
Yep.
But the time that I have with you and the things I learned about Newfoundland and every 5 minutes of weather's insane, like it's bipolar, the hurricane that came through. And then of course, my favorite moment for me personally, because it means so much to me, was that last night. And I sat there, Paul and I talked about this before. I've never heard anything as deafening quiet as where we were at in Newfoundland. It hurt to think.
It's crazy. Like when you're sitting there alone, and like I've sit in like the middle of nowhere and whatever, and there's always something like in the air to keep you occupied, whether it's birds singing or grasshoppers or trees. Like you sat in these pines,
nothing,
and it was like, I know how people go crazy with no noise or no sound. Like it was to the point where like after a while, like Josh would tap me and be like, I'm talking to you. I'm like, I can't hear you. Like there's nothing going on. Like it was definite. It was so weird.
That's the way it was the second after Troy dropped his phone in the water. Like he just...
oh, God. All too soon.
Yeah.
All too soon.
It was rough.
Oh man, yeah, but no, that was just every experience from battling mosquitoes all over your body, trying to literally just kill you in 3 seconds. To I got to the point where one of the last mornings we were out, my guide and I, we were actually panning the same bowl where you shot your same area you shot your moose in, Paul. And to prevent mosquitoes, they're like all around me because you can hear them. They sound like helicopters. It's so quiet there. I threw my hoodie up over my face. I had off over my face basically. Threw my hood up over my face, and I could hear them swarming around me. And actually, Junior, the guide who I think eats mosquitoes for breakfast, actually finally got annoyed by them. He's like, these GDSOB mosquitoes. And I was like, attaboy, you're finally annoyed by them. It's just taking us all week.
So a couple things we learned in Newfoundland. They're called Newfies. So the inhabitants of Newfoundland are called Newfies. Their average weight is over 300 pounds. They're all huge. There's only 10 houses and a gas station every like 15 miles. There's no city. There's no nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing there. There's more water than there is land there, which is fantastic. The weather, you can literally have all 5 seasons in a row. And I say 5 seasons because the 5th season is mud season. Like there's just freaking mud everywhere. It's windy as hell. You could be 62, 63 mile an hour sustained winds on the coast where our lodge was. And we went bear hunting that night and we didn't have any wind at all. And we were like 6 miles away. If you don't, what would we lose? Oh, Josh's battery died. If you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. It changes, no doubt. And they curse like mother truckers. Every other word is mother this or goddamn this or this, blah, 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 blah. Pretty much they curse like truck drivers.
Whoops.
Up there. Yep, he died out. I was just telling them how much they curse.
Y'all, it was unbelievable.
Sorry. Get her back in the kennel.
It was unbelievable, but what I miss? The
Cedric's about to curse.
We have
Cedric's yelling at somebody.
Our dog tore her ACL, and so we had to have surgery done on her, and she just slipped and fell, and so we just got to.
Oh, back Jesus Christ!
Yeah, I can relate. She's so hyper that it's hard to get her out because she just wants to run and gun. You know, that's what lab.
I gotcha.
So the last thing I want to talk about is about this hunt is let's talk about the roads.
Oh my gosh, my wife wouldn't go hunting after day one. By the way, she wouldn't go.
Really?
The first road. Remember the road?
Yeah, the road. Yeah,
she's right here right now. About lost her kidneys. I think she wouldn't go out beyond that.
So their roads, like the road to the lodge, is good. The main road is good, and then the one road we went moose hunting on a bunch. There's some potholes, but there's this one road out by the only gas station where you got to make a left, and it is gravel road. There's gravel roads everywhere. And literally it is 5 miles of, you have a choice. Our one guide chose to do 5 miles per hour and walk through every pothole like this the whole way. Because literally there's 20 potholes, nothing for 5 feet, 20 potholes, etc. The older guide who doesn't give a SOB or FOB about anything, decides to do 70 and just not let his tires fall into the hole.
Good theory.
So it's just like motocross. It's like across the top. It is it was definitely interesting. My kidneys still hurt from it. Threw my back out, and
heck of a trip.
It was from Toronto all the way to Deer Lake, and then the late night hotel stay, and then we had an interesting time. So it was good. We got it done. We got 2 big game animals on the ground for Team Bowmen, and sorry boys, you're up to bat. You got some big shoes to fill now. I don't want to hear any excuses.
Yeah, I told you that when I was shooting that bow the other day. Well, my wife was outside with me, and
I apologize. See, I forgot to wipe the blood off.
There was blood. There's blood all over it, all over the limbs, on the grip, everywhere. And then I opened the case, and there's only 2 arrows out of however many you shot that actually were still shootable, and they both had triple point Clovises on them. So I'm standing there holding this bloody bow, showing her, and then I pulled the one out, and I went to unscrew it. Well, I cut my finger, so then I'm bleeding on the bow, bloody. Bree's like, "Oh my gosh!" Hey, it's just part of it. Don't worry about it.
I have to change the strings now on that bow because I watched Josh for a week and how he shoots.
Hey, don't start with me.
When he draws back, literally, it's like making out with a 16-year-old girl. He's like, and then he shoots.
Best episode ever right now, Paul. Best episode ever.
Like the first time I saw him, I was
Cedric, Cedric's either stunned. Is he?
I think he's frozen.
He's frozen. Look at his face. Look at his face.
His face is frozen. The first time he drew back, and he's like, oh yeah. I'm like, dude, what you doing?
You gotta hit the spot, Paul. You gotta get the spot, and then when you hit it, it's on. It's muscle memory.
Oh man, so I gotta change those strings when I get back because I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I felt bad. I told Troy, I'm like, I'm gonna wipe the blood off for you, and I completely forgot about it and just put it in the case. I was trying to get to you as quick as possible.
No, it's all good.
I started laughing last night after you texted me, Troy, because I thought about that and I didn't say anything. You probably drew back for the first time. Like,
no, I mean, I looked at it. You can see it on the limbs. My wife, I was showing her. I said, "Look at that! So that's blood. It's blood all over the damn thing. Like they rolled in it."
You should have licked that. That's moose blood. That's the best.
No, that was bear blood on top of that.
Yeah, and then the arrows. They're all. Yeah.
Oh, there's meat
awesome.
nose. Yeah.
It was awesome.
Cedric's back.
Duck face gone.
Yeah, that's that bad service.
You didn't like my example. Should I do it again?
I think it was right. I was thinking Paul gave the example. You have more tongue action than that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But anyway, that was our Newfoundland hunt. We do have the episode getting put together in some form. Hunt Tech Pros has been gracious enough to put an episode together for us on it. So we haven't figured out what we're going to do or where we're going to air it or whatnot, but we'll source it out to some people and see what we can do from there. So thank you, Josh, for that hookup. And
yes, sir.
Sorry, filling in and coming with me. It's a great experience. And the last thing I'm going to say about it is you got the luxury of meeting my aunt and uncle, and they're just amazing people.
Like, we had a ton of fun. You should have seen her cod fishing. That cod fishing was rough, boys. It was fun, but that sea was rough.
Now, are they from there, Cole? They're not from there?
No, they're from Pennsylvania originally, but they live in Park City, Utah, and they're actually my wife's aunt and uncle. And
awesome people.
I'm like his son by marriage, so we go on some sort of hunt every year together. So he had the luxury of meeting them, and they're just awesome, great people. Yeah, like to the point where they're leaving, and he's like, "Why don't I just sign my license over to you? I'm not going to come back. Like, go moose hunt." Like,
he's like, "Go ahead, moose hunt." Yeah, co-sign my license.
Yeah, just that kind of person. He'll do anything for you. So
awesome guy. Yeah, and we had a good time. The only thing I won't do for him anymore is eat raw scallop. I about heaved that one. Salty, warm weirdness.
Yeah. Well, he's a big spear fisherman, so he eats everything raw, and he's just a big foodie. So he's like, "Let's try this raw."
Seared in butter, best thing I've ever had.
I seasoned them, dried them off, and seared them hard in butter in a skillet for them for dinner. And
that was it. Best ever.
Nothing better. Nothing better. So, but that was our experience. Without getting too much into video and all that, I think we should probably post up a couple more video clips of it just to build some more excitement out there. But we had some great people. I know Tack Veins reached out to me and congratulated us and all that on their hunt. So they were a big part of it and watching us closely. Halo Knox, obviously Prime Archery, some guy from Triple Point. I don't know who the hell he is, but
I don't know.
He was there.
I will say this: the hole through the bear my last night, that hole the Clovis put, that was a regular Clovis I shot that bear with. That thing looked like a bomb went off through it, and that was like that was the hole. I'm not touching stuff up. That's what she does, you know.
Yeah, it was weird on the moose. Like it put almost like a round hole in the moose. Did you see that?
Yeah, like it split open, like it.
Yeah,
you know, the leading tip cut and the blades cut, and it splits.
I think like their skin must be like so taut against their body or whatnot. Like
I've seen that
when it went in, it was like a perfect hole. Like it was a 3-inch hole like this. Not usually you see like the long cut and then a cross cut and it opens up like a feather like that. Right. This was just like right into it.
It was fun. I had a blast. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, man. Anytime. Well, hopefully we'll be doing it again here soon. We got Ohio coming up. I got to get the dates from my uncle when he's going to be in New York so we can shoot over to New York and hunt my farms up there. Maybe we can get Cedric to take some time up and come with us. It'd be great.
I love that.
New Zealand.
Yeah, we got that. You know, that's a big price tag on that hunt, though. I heard that Lee's paying for the Bowmen, so we'll all be there.
Oh, he's such a good guy.
Sign the check. Just work some overtime.
pull a few more teeth, huh?
There you go. Pull a full. Yeah, there you go. Just do it. Just figure it out. That's it. We're deep into the season now. I mean, elk season's 2 weeks under the belt already in most of the states out there. So good luck to everyone out there. We've seen some big animals hit the grounds. Utah and Colorado. Mule deer, velvet's going on. We got velvet season in Kentucky. Missouri's starting. Who else has started? Where did that?
Kentucky.
What was that? Who was the lady that shot that giant buck from Rutlife?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was a nice deer.
Underway.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that was a beautiful deer. So everything's well underway. I don't know about you guys, but the weather's still hot here. 80-something degrees, barely any rain. Everything's dried up. Fall's coming quick. So hopefully we'll see what happens. But
I was just looking at the forecast earlier today, the extended forecast, and I think the high that I see all the way into mid-October is 76. So I think we might be turning the corner here in Ohio. So I think in a week and a half, it'll be, I think the high is supposed to be 76, and then it's all downhill from there.
As long as you get the 40s and 50s at night, that's nice to hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just need a light jacket. I'm not up to freezing. I think, what was it, 5 years ago, we were out in Illinois, me and my buddy, and it was -12 when we were there. Never again.
Some of the beans are starting to turn here too, so I saw some yellow fields today.
It's been so dry here, the farmers are cutting the corn.
Well, I hope they cut the corn,
it's the second week of September.
Lee, you know what I'm saying? You gotta get that corn and beans off.
Cedric, did you fall asleep?
No, I just can't ever tell if I'm like frozen or not.
You looked it looked like you were for a minute.
It looked like you were frozen. I was like, we caught you on your stink face.
He was in a trance.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Well, it's we're about an hour and a half into this here, so we're gonna cut it short. We're like keeping it around that mark. Lee, thanks for joining us. I know there wasn't too much commentary, but we always appreciate another face and some comments. Cedric, good luck this week coming up. Keep us posted. Hopefully the next podcast we record, we'll be able to highlight that hunt. We do have some special guests coming on here in the next couple casts that we're reaching out to. So stay tuned for that. And then we're just going to keep talking about strategy, hunting, where we're at through the season, what we're seeing around these different states, and then what we got coming up from there. So boys in Ohio, keep it going. Thank you very much. Yes, and we'll talk to you soon. This is the Bowmen signing off.
Thank you for listening to the Bowmen Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. Please like, share, and leave 5 stars on all your favorite platforms. If you'd like to be a guest on our show, please reach out via email to romanooutdoorsllc@gmail.com or visit us on all social platforms at the Bowmen Podcast, at Triple Point Outdoors, at Greenlight Outdoors, and at Level Archery. We hope to hear from you soon.